Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Rayz Dayz, episode 113 of the show, where I recap my week, mostly talking about my mental health, at least these past few weeks, because most of my life consists of staying in the same room, working on the same things, my artwork, producing the podcast, preparing for the podcast, which means watching a lot of movies, which is very difficult to do. It is so difficult. But in general, being around myself most of the time, I'm only hanging out with myself a lot of the times, and it's one of the few times in my entire life, in my 41 years of existence, that I can really pay attention to how I am mentally and how I react to things and how my mental attitude, shifts over time. It goes up and it goes down. Recently, I have come to the self-diagnosis that I may be bipolar. It would explain a lot of things. I've always known and been aware of the severe depression that I have that comes and goes. That's something that I've been very aware of. But the manic state of the bipolarness is something that was recontextualized for me recently, and I've noticed is part of something that comes and goes for me as well. What specifically kind of diagnosis I would have if I actually went to somebody who is a professional, I'm sure might be slightly different. I'm sure there are variations. I know within bipolar there's 1 and 2. Initially I was thinking I was bipolar 1, but now I might be thinking I'm bipolar 2. I don't know. I recently started subscribe to a podcast called The Mental Illness Happy Hour, which is a podcast where the host brings on guests to speak about different types of mental illness that they are dealing with and different things people are struggling with. So that is something that I, have bookmarked a few specific episodes that are dealing with bipolar. So I'm, going to see what I relate to. And I'm understanding that, the differences between the two types. And I'm sure there's other things at play within my brain. But, despite the fact that I'm 41, it's never too late to learn more about yourself. I didn't really realize that I was colorblind until I was 26. And I'm an artist. But when I did realize that I was colorblind, where I actually first off, denial is a hell of a thing. It is an insane thing that humans do to really ignore a lot. And until you've had that veil lifted and you've had your reality recontextualized, it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. And when I was 26, I had always felt like I always knew that I wasn't good at identifying colors. Like playing Trivial Pursuit growing up, it's like you fill in this little pie thing with different color wedges, and depending on the lighting of the room, it was difficult for me to determine the difference between green and brown. Purple and blue have always been a struggle. Sometimes pink and gray look very similar. So I always knew I had some kind of an issue. Part of me thought maybe I just never learned how to identify colors properly. I don't know. When you're in denial, you will come up with all kinds of things. But when I was 26, I sat down and I looked up online the colorblind tests, and I took the tests. And I realized that I was, and there's different levels of color blindness, there's different types of color blindness, but I really understood that I was. And once I had that context for myself, I spent a lot of time going back in time, and a lot of things started making sense, like Trivial Pursuit, like the fact that people would make fun of clothes that I wear. Like I would wear colors that didn't match, and I didn't understand. Or once I got punished in school because I used the wrong crayon to color corn, which is a crazy thing to get punished for. But when you go to certain schools at, in the 80s, apparently coloring corn the wrong color is a thing. In high school, I did a tennis poster, and apparently tennis balls are green. I thought they were yellow. Just little things like that where I just didn't know because I had no ability to know because my eyeballs perceive color differently. I see less colors than most people do. I literally cannot see some colors. That's why purple just looks like dark blue to me. That's why green and brown look very similar to me. So I wasn't 20. I was 26, an artist, graphic designer, web designer. 26. I learned tons of tricks in my 26 years to figure things out. I like workarounds, which color blindness is commonly associated with people that think creatively. Same thing with left-handed people. And a lot of that is because the world is not set up for us, and we have to find creative and new ways to navigate the world. And in being creative in those ways, it can adapt to being creative in a lot of other ways. That's why you see a lot of creative people are left-handed. I'm not. I'm right-handed, but I'm colorblind. So, on some level, I can attribute my creativity to my colorblindness.
And now a quick word from our sponsor. Now you can wear The Many Faces, original art by Ray Taylor. Select pieces from the ongoing series of abstract ink paintings. All products made with high quality materials, made right here in the USA. Go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF merch to browse the entire collection and save yourself an extra 10% when you check out by using coupon code RTSTMF. So once again, go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF merch and save 10% when you use coupon code RTSTMF. And now, back to our show.
But at 41, to kind of discover the fact that I might be bipolar, it really, looking back at a lot of things in my life, it really recontextualizes those things and makes a lot of things make sense. One of which I remember as a kid, it was always just like, oh, I'm cranky because I didn't get enough sleep. It's like, no, I was probably cranky because I was going through a manic state. And that is just one of the ways my mania manifests itself, is through having a bad attitude, feeling on edge, feeling like I have like this elevated desire to express myself to people, and that like it's a time where people need to be listening to me. And when my opinions or my voice isn't being heard, it can affect me differently than when I'm not going through a manic state. Also, just dealing with relationships, dealing with just different things in my life that I've done. I now understand a lot of those things could be attributed to the fact that I was going through a manic state. Even my business name in 2009, I changed my business name from Digital Art Design Associates, because I used to do primarily graphic design and web design, which I hated doing, mostly because I was colorblind, and was very difficult to give the client the accurate color schemes that they wanted. Just dealing with clients and having people that aren't creative trying to dictate to me how to do my work, I really didn't like that. And I wanted to get more into podcasting. I wanted to get more into doing my fine art, so I wanted to change my name when the domain expired for .04 in 2004. I started Digital Art Design Associates. So 5 years later, 2009, it expired, and I was looking up, trying to think of a new name. And something that's always been a part of me that's always given me fuel is when I get inspired. And the inspiration fuels me to the point where I will go extremely hard to complete a thing because it is something that has inspired me. And with that, having like an attachment to being inspired as it's a disorder, inspired disorder came about. Also, you can have the different meetings of like I'm inspired so much it's a disorder, or like a type of disorder, rebellion as done through inspiration, right? Like Black Lives Matter is a form of inspired disorder, like people being disorderly because they're inspired to seek equal justice in a world that is clearly skewed towards white supremacists. So this got a couple meanings. It sounds kind of cool. But at 41, understanding that probably in those times where I was so amped and motivated through inspiration, those were also probably times where my mania was manifesting itself. Kind of makes a lot of sense. It's kind of weird. It is kind of weird. So, you know, I would love to go into more depth with that stuff. I would love to have the access to professional help, maybe get therapy, maybe get medication. But as an artist struggling to just survive, I don't have access to any of those things. So I in a lot of ways, I'm DIYing my mental health journey, which when you do things yourself, it tends to take quite a bit longer. There is a lot more failure involved, trial and error, as it were. So, you know, at least the veil of a big aspect of who I am has been uncovered, and it has recontextualized a lot of things to make a lot of my past make sense, and it makes me feel sad and sorry for the women in my life, or people in my life, that have had to deal with my fluctuations in mood and deal with me, which primarily I had always like realized that the depression side was a big issue to deal with, but I had never thought of myself as manic. Like, for whatever reasons, the definitions and signs of mania that I thought were accurate were only just a small subsection of symptoms and ways mania can manifest itself. So I am in that journey now. That is why I have been talking a lot about it on these episodes. Obviously, don't listen to me. I am not a doctor. As I said, I'm doing this DIY. If you have insurance of any kind, obviously go get help. I'm just sharing my experience as I'm living it, and it's just interesting things that I've noticed. And as I talked about in the last episode, I noticed that I was definitely going, like, now that I know I have manic like swings, I clearly saw it happen last week or 2 weeks ago, however long it's been now. And knowing that, like, I don't know all the stages of being bipolar or anything like that, but I know, like, I can identify the different swings, the ups and the downs, and we'll get better at that. But also knew that coming after the down of the mania is that I almost predicted the fact that this week I was pretty unmotivated, pretty depressed. Not super depressed, but definitely very unmotivated. Didn't really care about... I just made sure I got the specific things done I needed to do, but just not had a good week. Really very little sleep all week. Like, yesterday was ridiculous. I was like on fumes just trying to get things prepared for today, and tried to go to sleep super early and was able to definitely get more sleep than previous nights in the week, but still, like, it was tough. It was tough. Thankfully, I feel okay today. Like, recording has been okay. My brain feels awake, unlike last week. So that stuff is good.
Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today.
You know, it's a little bit, and it's weird because it feels like a tug of war for me. Right? There's part of me on one side of the rope. It is the side of me that's like life is short. It could be long too, but life is short. Like, not worry about all of the things and try to just enjoy life a bit more is on one side of that rope. To be like, it's okay if I don't get all these things done because in the end they may not matter anyway. But then on the other side of the rope is like, well, I want to get all these things done to hopefully improve my life so that I can have more time to enjoy it. Because it's not like I'm raking in the money right now. It's not like I financially living in a capitalist society, you can't just enjoy life. You have to have some kind of income in order to afford a life that you can enjoy. And I am not at a place where I have that kind of income to take time to enjoy life. So on both sides of that rope, it's like I can't work myself to the bone. I'm going to burn out regardless. So it's like knowing when to step off the gas and knowing when to go. It is like, on some level it's a win-win, but on another level it's a lose-lose. Like, depending on how you look at it, depend on your perspective of it. But either way, for me, knowing that I have my ups and my downs, knowing that I can be super productive when I'm in those manic states or maybe ramping up to those manic states, I know that I should probably take advantage of that extra energy, that inspiration, that inspired disorder that is my mania, and then know that that is not going to be sustained. Know that eventually that's going to peak and drop off, and I'm going to feel very unmotivated, tired, depressed, and just not really wanting to participate in life much. And knowing that both of those things are temporary. So that is where I'm at in my life. This week has been, it's tough. It's so weird that, like, I don't have energy, I don't have motivation, but I also can't sleep. I can't. It's super hard to focus on watching like movies and stuff like that, to like do other things that could be beneficial. Like just trying to rearrange my life in order to do things that I feel like I can do. But even those like small things are difficult to accomplish. I also know that when I just based on my diet, based on how much I feel like even cooking eggs in the morning, Like I'm at a point like this week where I was like, fuck it, I'm getting groceries that will allow me to just make food by throwing it in the air fryer, or throwing it in the microwave, and doing the very bare minimum. Like making tea is too much work to go into making tea. Versus there's other times where I will have no problem prepping all of my meals for the week, making all kinds of teas and doing all kinds of things. Like I have that in me as well. But when I'm feeling the way I felt this week, it's like I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. I am doing the absolute bare minimum to survive this week. And part of me has to be okay with that because I really don't have, it's not going to do me any good to beat myself up about that sort of thing. So anyway, that's been my week. Hopefully there'll be more substance to talk about next week. Hopefully it's not just all me talking about my mental health, but that's where I'm at. So, if you don't want to listen to that, obviously you can just move on to the many other podcasts I produce and release on a daily basis. But that has been my week. I hope everybody else has been having a good week. If you are a company like BetterHelp or any of those types of companies and want to sponsor this show, if you want to hook a brother up with some free mental help, that would be amazing. And all sponsorships are definitely welcomed. If you have a business or product you want me to sell, please let me know and we can work something out. But yeah, hope everybody's having a great week.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.